My man, what's going on, sir?
What's up? How's everything?
I'm good. I'm good.
Long time no see, you know?
Absolutely. So you're I don't want to call it your protege, your person that you endorsed.
Successor.
So your successor.
Yes.
Successfully won her race.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Yadira Ramos Herbert. Did I say that right? Yeah, Ramos Herbert. Okay. Yeah. So I said when you first said that when you first told me that you weren't running for re-election, I said you probably are next in line for city court judge, and maybe your mom. I mean, I didn't know none of this. But I said this back then, and I've said it a few times, and that ended up being the case. So, did you know that you were being looked at when you decided not to run again? Did you know then? Did you know?
So, at different levels, right? There are different judges, and there are different ways for judges to become judges. So
right.
At the very top level, you have the Supreme Court of the United States, and
right.
you have that being selected by the president and confirmed by the Senate, right?
Right. Lorraine, close the door. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Close the door. Go ahead.
And at the county level, you have elections, and sometimes you have governor appointments.
Right.
But in New Rochelle, we have 3 city court judges. 2 of those are appointed, and 1 of those is elected. So it's just the way the city charters was written many years ago.
Right.
And it just happened that one of the appointed seats was coming up, and I expressed interest. It was actually a seat. It actually is a seat held by my mother, and she's retiring at the end of the year. And the mayor felt that it would be a good idea to appoint me. So I'm really happy with that.
So while I hope to never be in your courtroom on that level, but other than to visit you, it's good to know city court judge though.
Your mom was on the bench?
Is on the bench now, yes.
Is on the bench?
Correct. She's retiring at the end of the year.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Well, he comes from a family of, I mean, his father,
his father's an attorney.
And they have the company, for Rice and Rice.
Rice and Rice attorneys.
Yes.
Right. So you come from a legal family.
Correct.
A legal family.
Well, I mean, you got some big shoes to fill too.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, the things I read about your mom, she was that person.
She'd been a judge since 1996.
Okay.
In the New Rochelle City Court, so I'm familiar kind of with just how it works a little bit. My brother's also an attorney, but he left the law practice to become a minister, but he still has his law degree. So
my brother said congratulations.
Oh,
Big
cool.
Mike.
Oh, Big Mike. Okay.
Mike Green. Yeah.
Mike's in Atlanta now.
Yeah, he's in Atlanta. I told him. He
cool.
said, so y'all went to school together. I think it was school. Do y'all the same age, y'all?
So I think Mike's a couple years older than me, maybe 2 or 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
33 Lincoln, yeah.
Yeah. 33. Oh, that's where you lived in 33?
No, I had friends there, and I stayed overnight a lot of times, and the Remington Boys and Girls Club is practically where I grew up, so
yes.
I'm just familiar with everybody in that area.
Yeah, I definitely graduated from UCLA, the University of corner of Lincoln Avenue. Yeah, so even though I was in Mount Vernon, I was always, I had a lot of cousins and a lot of friends and a lot of misspent youth in that area. Yeah. And also, I used to go to the church.
Which one?
St. Catherine. I used to go to St. Catherine.
Yeah.
But my family all belonged to Shiloh, Bethesda, so all up and down that block.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And New Rochelle's a special place. We are a real community, and we're passionate about every single issue that happens in our community. And
I saw that with the coach issue.
Yeah,
that was a very passionate. There was passion on both sides of that issue.
Both sides, yeah. But shout out, more importantly, I think to your piece, to your credit, right? Shout out to the football team.
Yes,
what they did was amazing. 13-0, just to run the table like that, and under these adverse circumstances, and they were able to put everything to the side
and still go win those 3-4 games without their coach
easily.
Without
that's the will to win. Michael Jordan had that will to win.
Right.
They had that in the playoffs.
Yeah. And I did do a piece. I said, let's not let the controversy of the coach and the superintendent not allow us to celebrate our young people that performed.
They did an amazing
admirable
job.
Yeah,
they were kind of remind me of the Mount Vernon basketball team a little bit.
Oh, so. Yeah. Back in the day, yeah. Well, still, Mount Vernon still, yeah. Mount Vernon is, I think, one of the 10 top cities. Mount Vernon High School, 10 top cities that produce professional NBA players.
Nice.
Yeah, it's one on the list. I think we're tied for 9 or 10 with Compton or something, or South Central, Los Angeles or something.
Well, to this day, one of the worst things that could just carry with me is the fact that I played basketball in high school in New Rochelle.
Okay.
And I never beat Mount Vernon, and like to this day, it just drives me crazy. So I need some therapy. I don't know what it is, but I can't get over that. I just never was able to beat them in basketball.
Yeah. But it was Mount Vernon and New Rochelle, because even when I moved to Long Island, some of the games were so hectic that they had to have them in the county center, and only 50 students from each school were allowed, because it was all about the fifth quarter festivities, the fight after the game, whether it was basketball or football. It was always the fight after the game that it became more notorious than the game. Cynthia Turnquest Jones said, "Great strides, Jared Rice. Love Cint from the airport." Yeah, she's down in the Bahamas, I believe, right now.
Tell Cynthia much love.
Yes. So it's always good to see people that you know.
Yeah.
I've followed your career since I've been, since we started Black Westchester.
Yeah.
Had you on the show from the beginning with the cops pulling guns on the snowball guys. A lot of elected officials. There's a handful. You, Chris Johnson, when he was city council in the Yonkers. When I call, y'all pick up that phone and y'all get back to me with quotes, or if I need y'all on the show to talk about an issue in your city, y'all are always there, and you've always been that. We've tackled a few issues together, racist Facebook post and the whole nine, and are you ready for this next chapter in your life? Like, it's a big deal. But it's in general progression. For a lawyer in politics, Yeah.
So yes, I am ready. I think what makes it somewhat of a big deal is the fact that I'm kind of young to be a judge. I'm not the youngest, but
I was going to ask you that. Were you the youngest? But
well, I think in New Rochelle. But if you look around the state, there are other.
Nobody in New Rochelle.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I was hoping just to get a few months just to work my way in, but it appears that one of the judges may be out for a period of time, so I think I'll be thrown right into the fire on day one. So just the way it works, we have judges school from January 6th to January 10th.
Oh, wow.
And I kind of looked at the agenda. There was a lot of material, a lot of details. It was a lot overwhelming at the time just to read it all, but throughout that week I will be in judges school, and then when I come back, I'm ready to go. And just coming back into a new environment, right? We have new criminal justice reforms that are taking
place in January,
1st.
right?
Yep. So I'm just coming right into all of this.
Yeah. So and you're no stranger to the court, because every time I went with somebody or to cover a story in Mount Vernon, you were in the Mount Vernon courts.
So I've been a public defender in the city of Mount Vernon for more than 12 years now.
Wow.
A lot of that time I was working with the youth and adolescent diversion program. So, Mount Vernon is a really busy court.
Right.
And New Rochelle is not as busy of a court as Mount Vernon. So I think just taking what I have learned in Mount Vernon, the stuff I've learned as a council member, the city violations and landlord-tenant, and I feel that it's a good time for me to come in, and I think I'll be ready for the job. Now,
what type of cases do you cover? I know big criminal cases go to the county, right?
Correct. So it's a local court, local jurisdiction, so you have misdemeanors and you have felonies prior to somebody being indicted, right?
Okay.
So once you're indicted, then you go to county court.
Okay.
But before you're indicted, you'll just have all your appearances in the local court. So you do have felonies, like when somebody gets arraigned for murder, right? You start in local court,
Right.
and then it gets pushed up to county court. But you always start there.
Okay.
Yep. So you have criminal, then you have landlord-tenant, you have traffic, parking tickets, you have small claims.
We all hate those. We all hate to have to go before a judge for some kind of ticket. I don't think there's anybody who likes going before.
This is a 10-year appointment?
It's a 10-year appointment, correct.
And you don't have to run?
Correct. So I was explaining to AJ, just in New Rochelle, we have 2 appointed judges and 1 elected judge, and the seat that I am coming into is an appointed seat.
When you stopped, when you decided not to run for city council, was it because you was thinking about being a judge?
Yeah, I was definitely thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I knew nothing was guaranteed, and I think most importantly on the city council, I put 9 years in, and
Okay.
I felt it was time just for somebody else to take on, give it a fresh set of eyes.
Now, you don't have term limits, do you?
We don't have term limits,
Okay.
but I kind of turned myself out.
Right.
District 3 is a really demanding district in New Rochelle. So in New Rochelle, we have actual districts, and you represent
Right.
a set area. And District 3, I put in a lot of work every single day, and I felt it was time for somebody else to come in and kind of pick up where I'm leaving off.
It's been a lot of transformation in the 9 years that you've been there.
Well, you were instrumental in bringing in My Brother's Keeper, right, to New Rochelle?
Correct. So we, it's a President Obama initiative, and
Yeah.
New Rochelle was the first community in Westchester to accept the
Really?
challenge.
Yes.
And since then, Mount Vernon, Yonkers, Peekskill, Ossining,
yeah.
Greenburgh, White Plains. So now we have a coalition. Actually,
And I was
tomorrow.
I was blessed to see that. We were at those first meetings in New
AJ
Rochelle.
was at those first meetings.
Me and
Tomorrow.
Andre Wallace.
You
Yeah.
having another get?
Tomorrow we're having at the county center a MBK Youth Summit, and it's hosted by the coalition, and it's going to be a good event. We have some guest speakers, and there's going to be about 100 to 200 just black and brown.
Like the
males.
one you had at
Oh,
County
nice.
Center, like the
one from last year. We
Yeah.
had one last year.
Yeah.
Same thing tomorrow.
Oh man, that was a beautiful thing to see that many black and brown youth,
Yeah.
and for them to see some great, strong
Leaders.
You know, it was definitely. I wasn't able to be there in person, but Tahir, Dr. Chase made sure I got
Correct.
all the pictures and.
She's phenomenal, by the way.
Absolutely. Still trying to get on the show. She listens. She's been coming for 4 years now.
Okay.
Still trying to get on the show, but she's been busy though. But we wanted to bring her on to talk about. Actually, we wanted to bring on her, Dr. Bostic.
Correct.
We wanted to do the whole, My Brother's Keeper. The different ones, and have them all come here and talk about the importance of that to our communities.
Because the issues are all literally the same, right? We
Right.
just want everybody to reach their potential in life, and there's so much wasted potential in our communities, and we need them to step up, and we need them to be solid citizens. We need them to be contributors towards everything that's happening. So that's the goal, and we're pushing ahead with that.
So you get sworn in January 1st,
So
or
I'm gonna
maybe
have,
prior?
So there's two. So there's an oath of office that you sign.
Yeah.
That gets you
With
in.
the clerk.
Correct. And then separate from that, I'm gonna have a swearing-in ceremony on January 3rd. Friday evening at the Bethesda Family Life Center. So we're putting that together right now.
Who's gonna swear you in at the center?
My mother is.
Oh man, that's so beautiful. Nice.
So what made her? She just felt it was time. She was ready to retire, ready to move
So
on.
in New York, judges have to step down at the age of 70.
Oh, okay.
So she's approaching the age of 70, and it was just an easy decision for her just to, after 23 years on the bench, just to focus on her grandchildren at this point.
That's what's up. That's
Yeah.
what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, I'm just so excited for you. I'm just happy. I believe the court will be in good hands. Judges, and really wanted to have you on, not just because you're a friend of the show, but a lot of people don't really get to know. You don't get to know the judges.
Correct. And just how it works. And
Right.
And you're
But-
going in with the new bail reform, right?
Correct.
The whole criminal justice reform, it kicks off.
Bail
Wow.
reform and discovery reform. So
Right.
discovery reform refers to the exchange of information that goes between the prosecutors and the defense attorneys.
Yeah.
And in the past, what usually would happen, and the laws in New York say that the prosecutor doesn't have to turn over the critical evidence until trial or hearing. So you would never know what you were up against if you
Yeah.
were accused of a crime. But now the new laws are basically doing away with that old process, and within 15 days of an arraignment, the date you first appear before the judge, the prosecutor is supposed to give you everything. So that's going to be a really significant change in the system. It's going to affect a lot. Police departments have to get their papers and 911 tapes and videos, and they have to have everything ready for 15 days for the defendant. And
Which is good for the defendant, because there's sometimes you don't even know.
correct.
You can't do a proper defense if you
Correct.
don't have the stuff to the last minute.
Correct.
You
And
know,
it affects plea bargains as well.
Right,
and
right.
And what pleas you're willing to take.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Knowing that, yeah, because people have gotten plea bargains before this stuff has come out because they were told that
You'll never know. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
And the bail reform is also going to be significant. It's going to affect industries, right? The bail bonds industry.
Right.
The jails are going to be much more empty.
Right.
So I'm on the board of the youth shelter of Westchester. That's a facility in Mount Vernon that
Yes.
houses youth age 16 to 21. If you're in jail, you can come to the youth shelter and get full service around the clock living environment. But we believe that those numbers will dwindle and we won't have youth to even have a youth shelter. So now we're looking to perhaps change the mission to maybe more transition housing or something of that sort, which is still a need here in Westchester County.
One of the good things about that, I mean, I know law enforcement, some law enforcement try to put out the narrative that, you know, we're letting all of them back out on the street, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, there's been incidents like the young man in Rikers who he ended up hanging himself or something. Yeah, he ended up hanging himself or whatever because, and so many other people who couldn't afford bail. What they've experienced in jail, they were innocent of whatever it was, but they couldn't afford to give it out. Corrections, the correction facilities shouldn't be called that because there is no correction part. You know what I'm saying? Like they learn to be better criminals. I mean, and they expose to stuff that they never would be exposed to, unfortunately, you know, during that time. So,
yeah, it's gonna be a shock to the system, and I think important for communities is to have services for those who are not going to be incarcerated anymore. They're going to be on the outside, and many times these individuals are in need of services, right? So I think that's going to be an opportunity for communities and nonprofits and different organizations to step up and try to fill that gap where there is one today.
So with this whole bail reform thing, so my sister's out on bail.
Mm-hmm.
I paid her bail. While
Is it
she's still
hypothetical?
no, it's the truth. While she's still going to court, can I get my bail money back?
that too.
So it depends. So there's a list of crimes that judges are no longer allowed to set bail on, and it's like 3 or 4 pages of crimes, right?
Okay.
So, for the most part, misdemeanors and non-violent felonies,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to set bail on those. So for violent felonies, homicides, and assault ones, and so on and so forth, you can technically set bail on those. But for non-violent felonies and misdemeanors, so what would happen is on January 1st or the first date that she has a court date in 2020, her lawyer should just ask for the bail to be exonerated.
But doesn't it? It doesn't go backwards, right? It just starts. It goes from forward. Does
So
it?
even today, and now what courts and judges are doing are they're just releasing everybody's bail now, just so they don't have that backlog come January, which is going to be immense.
We have another one of our co-hosts that has not been on the show for a while in the building, Priscilla Ichi.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
She's here with our next guest, but I wanted her to come in and sit down for a minute and get some screen time because it's been a while since we've seen her on the show.
Greetings, Judge.
Greetings. So I'm getting used to hearing that.
You're getting used to
Yeah,
that.
it sounds really weird right now.
It does,
Your
right? It takes
Honor.
some getting accustomed to.
Yeah. So I actually
Hi,
sat in
everyone.
court on Friday. So the way it works, you shadow a judge. So the judge is here, and I have a chair. I just pulled up. I'm just sitting right next to the judge. I'm just kind of observing and seeing
Right.
what's going on.
Different point of view.
Much
Different.
point
I
of
mean, view. Like
Yeah, much
you're
different.
used to facing the judge.
Correct.
Right,
Now
right.
you'll be seeing from the other
Correct.
end.
Correct. So I'm seeing the attorneys playing on their phones. Like,
Ah.
I was guilty of all the time.
Right.
But it's definitely different. And
Right.
just seeing how it was working, I was like, okay, I could do this.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I know judges cannot talk about certain things. Still open to a policy for when you need to come on and
So
talk
there
about
are a lot
stuff.
of new rules for me to get used to. So that's why I said, let me just come now.
Right.
I don't know what I'll be able to do
Right,
come
right, right,
January.
right,
But
right.
like for media, you have to get special permission
Sure.
from
Right. Yes.
some
Yeah.
higher authority just
Right.
to talk to the media
Right.
about
Right.
anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I deal with that a lot when I go to deal with Judge Armstrong and shout out to Judge Armstrong and shout out to his daughter. She has a new book out and she left copies with the judge.
Okay.
I think I'm supposed to meet it with him one day this week and go pick it up.
So I worked with Judge Armstrong a lot. He was the judge for a few years with the adolescent diversion program in Mount
Right.
Vernon. So I was the lead defense counsel. So he and I.
And then the drug court too, right?
There's a drug court as well.
Right. He's been doing that. Yeah.
He's been doing his thing.
Yes, definitely.
We have 3 openings coming up. City Court Judge in Yonkers too.
They're all elected.
Huh?
They're all elected positions.
No, one of them I hear Liam McLaughlin is going to get appointed to.
Oh, okay. Because that's
He's
we
a
have
former council member, attorney.
in Mount Vernon. We have one appointed position, judge, city court judge in Mount Vernon too, and the others are elected.
Correct. So in Mount Vernon, there's 1 part-time and there's 3 full-time judges in Mount Vernon.
Right.
In New Rochelle, we have 3 full-time.
Okay.
It used to be 2 full-time and 1 part-time, but the part-time position was elevated to a full-time maybe a few years ago.
Right.
Yeah. So every city, it's weird. Like, it's no.
Separate question because I was having this conversation about police commissioners and everything throughout the Westchester. Y'all have a lot of times the mayor appoints positions. Y'all have a city manager.
Correct.
Does your city manager appoint the commissioners, or does the mayor appoint the
The
commissioners?
city manager handles all hiring.
Okay.
The mayor has an assistant, and that's like his hire. Other than that, every commissioner is the city manager.
And is the city manager an elected position?
No, the city manager serves at the pleasure of the council.
Okay.
So if tomorrow 4 council members wake up on the wrong side of the bed and say we don't want him anymore, then
Wow.
I asked that question because I was telling people the importance of voting, and if you don't like the way your city is being policed, your mayor has appointed that commissioner, except for New Rochelle.
Except for New Rochelle.
New Rochelle has a different, and I just talked about that last week, and then I figured let me ask you that question and make sure I gave the right information.
correct. So I would say the one difference between the city manager form of government and a strong mayor form of government is the fact that when you're in a position in New Rochelle, commissioner or deputy commissioner, you're going to be there for the most part for a really long time because we don't have turnover from new administration. So when a new mayor comes in, there's a new administration. He brings his own people in, and there are pros and cons with everything. I think people like coming to New Rochelle, knowing they have that safety and security, knowing that a new mayor, even though we had a mayor for many years, wouldn't necessarily change their employment status.
The other difference is, I've said this before too, we've had in excess of 6 to 8 people running for mayor in the last 2 elections. A lot of the elections in New Rochelle are unopposed. That means New Rochelle is happy with their elected officials, and they, you know what I'm saying? Like where we've had a lot of people running, you know, and for the position, y'all haven't. I've covered the elections. Y'all don't have 4 and 5, 6 and 8 people running for mayor or for a council seat.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So,
I think the fact that we have districts maybe whittles that down a little bit.
yes.
Because it's not at large like everybody runs.
Right.
Within a geographical area, only so many people can run.
Right.
Like
But
yeah.
mayor, the mayor, that didn't he ran once, and at least once unopposed. I think.
I don't think
Mayor Bramson?
Yeah.
I don't think he's had. Well, maybe his first year, maybe back in 2006 or so. I think he might have gone unopposed one time, but since then, he's had an opponent.
Yeah, but you barely knew who the opponent was. Sometimes
Yeah,
it was.
You want to bring Osmond?
Yeah, we're gonna bring her in this. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Actually, yeah. Bring her in now. Bring her in. And you can hang out if you want to hang out, or you can.
I got it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Well,
I'm
we wanna
planning
thank
my my swearing in, and I have a conference call now right now. So that's gonna be January 3rd. I'll give you all the information. I'd love
absolutely.
you to attend
Absolutely.
at the Bethesda Family Life Center, 6 p.m. And we're gonna.
That's Bethesda Church, right?
Correct.
Okay,
So
okay.
the
Right on
center,
Lincoln?
correct, right next to it.
Right next to it. Yeah. Okay, definitely we will be there. I thank you for coming.
Congratulations
I don't know
again.
if you're allowed to come on anymore after this, but you know it's always an open door policy.
I know that. Yeah, you guys have been good friends.
Yes.
So thank you.
And we want to wish you. We just want to congratulate you in person.
I appreciate it.
And Damon, all of us. We wanted to just congratulate. He couldn't be here today,
Yeah.
but he says congratulations as well.
Thank you.
Much love, much love.
That is Councilman Jared Rice, who is newly appointed judge to the New Rochelle City Court.